Welcome to Mid-Century Living, your weekly nostalgia podcast about the best of technology and culture from the mid-20th century.
Welcome back to Mid-Century Living, the show where we talk all about the best of the mid-20th century and how to add vintage vibes to your modern life. We're your host, Gonzalo.
And Jackie, thank you for joining us today. Today we're continuing with our spooky mid-century series and talking about Ben Cooper Halloween costumes. If you'd like to skip ahead to the topic we're covering today, we have a timestamp in our notes, or you can check out our new chapter links on our episode. But first, Gonzalo, how was your week?
My week was good. Do you want the boring one or the funny one? They're both the same.
One. Oh,
they're both the same. I went to the doctor for my back because I'm old. And my back stopped hurting the day that I went to the doctor, which, of course, happened. But now because I'm old, I have to go to physical therapy.
Aww.
But I can go back to the gym, which is very exciting.
So you actually hurt your back?
Yeah.
In a way that can only be fixed with exercise.
Doctors.
Yeah. Man, that sucks.
And I have to abstain from certain movements in the gym, which is really annoying.
Did you explain to them that it hurt randomly? Or was it like, is the movements you're trying to abstain from what hurt your back in the first place? Or is it just something that would aggravate it now?
It's something that would aggravate it now.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But other than that, it's Bloody Saturday, which is on theme with Spooky Month, even though it's got nothing to do with being spooky. I don't know why it's called Bloody Saturday. Do you?
No, theater has a lot of traditions that I've never Googled the beginnings of.
For all those out there, Bloody Saturday is the last Saturday of rehearsal before opening night. And that is why we are recording earlier than 7 a.m.
Again, so hopefully our weekly catch-up isn't too salty like it was last time. Yeah, that's actually exciting.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm excited for your theater stuff. I'm glad that you're in theater again. Do you think they'll keep you? Did you do a good job? Did you impress them?
Fingers crossed. They did put my name on the t-shirt under the director.
Aw.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was very thinking. I was like, oh. I didn't see it until I got home. And I took the shirt and said thank you. And then I put it over my shoulder and walked out. And then when I got home, I was hanging it. And I go, hey, that's me.
That's awesome.
So, anyway. How was your week? Spooky?
My week was fine. It's October now. And it's just like so weird. Because I'm like, I feel like it's flying by, but it's only the 4th. Because I need to get my head in the game, honestly, because I'm just like way too excited for my upcoming Disney vacation, which is also in October, and is going to be a little spooky, but mostly not spooky. And so like, I still have one more sewing project I need to finish, and like, I need to buy a bunch of travel stuff that like, I don't know. And so like, I keep forgetting. I know it's like, it's been 4 days, so like how much spooky stuff can I be doing really? But like I feel like I'm not appreciating October enough, and I'm in a weird place.
I mean, I don't know, you're wearing...
I am wearing Halloween pajamas.
Halloween stuff, yeah. I mean, did I see something on Instagram about a pumpkin purse?
Yes, I did wear that yesterday.
Okay.
I don't know, but like, anyway, I'm just making sure that I make like enough time this weekend to like make something spooky food-wise and like watch something spooky. Like I'm worried that I'm gonna miss the whole month. That's just like I'm gonna blink and October's over and I didn't do enough stuff. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's where I am right now. That's not really how my week was. I guess it kind of is.
Did you spend any time this week thinking about what you're gonna wear for Halloween?
No.
Oh, well, maybe you should. Maybe today will inspire you.
Yes, maybe I should. Today might inspire me indeed, because we are talking about Halloween costumes. So any vintage Halloween enthusiast or anyone in Gen X listening to this podcast remembers Ben Cooper's Halloween costumes. They were the ones with thin silkscreen smocks and sculpted vacuform masks. They came in beautifully designed theme boxes and are highly collectible today.
Yeah, the smell of Ben Cooper Halloween masks provides a vivid memory for kids who wore them. Fun fact, they were made from PVC, more specifically, virgin vinyl, which meant that it did not have any other coatings or paints on it that may have been unsafe for children. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And also, yes, the smell is super famous. People always talk about that when we were doing research for our mid-century Halloween memories podcast episode we did in season 1, a lot of people talked about the smell of the Halloween costumes.
Yes, they did. And also, like, we were talking before we hit record, they're like, I remember smelling masks, and I don't think I had a Ben Cooper costume, but I do have a costume in my parents' house, probably still there in the attic, that is Ghostface from Scream, and I can smell the mask right now. And they had like this like black smock, like fabricy, sheery fabric,
That's fine.
and now I can't unsmell it.
Well, before we dig into the history, I want to shout out one of my main sources for this episode, which is actually a documentary called Dressing Up Halloween, The Story of Ben Cooper, Inc. The filmmaker, Rob Caprolossi, rented out the former Ben Cooper factory and invited former employees back to interview them for their time with the company. We'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check that documentary out. It was a fun watch.
I saw that you watched it as research.
Yes, as research. I love it when I can research for the episode on the couch.
You have a laptop. You can always research on the couch.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But anyway, I guess I should say, like, in the television. I don't know. It was, I actually, this is how old school I am. I was watching the documentary and, like, taking notes on paper. And then I had to go type them up. I should have brought my laptop in there. Why didn't I do that?
Because we live in the mid-century. What's a laptop?
Anyway, it's time to dig into the history of the company. So, Gonzalo, why don't you get us started?
Sounds like a plan. So, Ben Cooper actually started his manufacturing career in children's clothes, specifically little girls' dresses. He then moved on vaudeville and designed costumes and sets for the legendary Cotton Club in Harlem. Live theater lost a lot of popularity in the 30s during the Great Depression, so Ben started looking for a new career. And he noticed how popular cartoon characters had become, thanks mostly to Disney, more on that later, and figured the kids would dress up for play. Now, at the time, Halloween was still a holiday of homemade costumes, but store-bought costumes were becoming popular in big cities, where parents worked longer hours. Ready-made Halloween costumes were sold at 5 and dime stores at a reasonable price, probably 5 and a dime. More expensive dress-up costumes were sold at department stores for 5 dime and a penny. Ben Cooper Incorporated was established in 1937, and the primary manufacturing facility was located at 3334th Street in Brooklyn, New York. The facility had 4 floors and spanned a whole city block.
Costume development from sketch to production took months to complete. 9 months if there was no rush, 6 months rushed, and 3 months if there was a major new property with potential right away. We'll tell you about some of those later. The process involved artists, sculptors, engineers, fabric production, pattern cutting, etc. Samples and art were often hand-carried to the various artists and sculptors in the area. Ben personally approved all costume designs before sending them to production, and sometimes it would take weeks to sculpt a mask to his liking. Nothing was accepted without finessing the design, execution, and fit. Fun fact, one person interviewed in that documentary I just told you about actually worked as a costume tester when he was 10 and 11 years old, and his whole job was trying on different costumes and then trying to rip them.
Well, that's fun.
Isn't
How did
it?
I get that job?
I know.
The company began selling its costumes through large retailers such as JCPenney, Sears, Woolworths, and 5 and dime stores, again with the 5 and dimes. In the early years, the most popular costumes were traditional Halloween characters such as devils, ghosts, skeletons, and witches. These costumes often sold for $1.25 or $28 in 2025 money. By the late 1940s, though, Ben Cooper Incorporated was one of the most prominent Halloween costume manufacturers in the U.S. I'm imagining them like Spirit Halloween.
No, they didn't have like their own stores. So
Oh.
they were just like on shelves in pennies.
I got
Which
you.
is funny, yeah, I guess that's one of those things that everyone just puts an S on. I'm gonna have to
Well,
Google that later.
I wonder because there's JCPenney and then there's pennies, and it's penny apostrophe S.
Do you think they rebranded it or something because people were calling it that?
I don't
I wonder
know.
if this is enough for an episode. This seems like something we should know. Anyway, here are some more details about Ben Cooper the man, mainly from interviews in the documentary. So Ben was apparently very approachable and caring and was well respected by all his employees. Even though he was running a business, his main goal was always to bring joy to children and parents alike. On Halloween night, he would drive around town to see which of his costumes were the most popular that year. These nights were great market research, but it also allowed him to relish in his creation. Wouldn't that be so wild to just see like every kid in Brooklyn wearing a costume that your company made?
Yes. Because that would be like, I guess, is that how like designers feel when they like, I don't know, go to a fashion show? I don't know. I'm assuming they do.
A fashion show would be different because that's models wearing your stuff and your name's on the thing. Like driving around and just like people bought your product and are
Yeah.
just wearing it on their own.
Like you
Must be
walk
so
into the
satisfying.
airport and like, hey, you're wearing me.
Hmm. Yeah, I just think that's so cool. That would be really satisfying. What a fun job.
Yeah.
But before we start getting into more specific costumes, we have to talk about Frank Romano. Romano was the lead artist at Ben Cooper Inc. for almost 30 years, and he's responsible for the look of the Ben Cooper line in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Frank answered an ad in the newspaper and landed an interview with Ben Cooper himself. After seeing his portfolio, Cooper was impressed and asked Frank to paint a devil that night using only 4 colors. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Is that the painting that you have?
Yeah, that's the painting.
That's cool.
Isn't it
The
cool?
colors, yes. Red, yellow, black, and blue.
The art is, yeah, like when you close your eyes and think of Ben Cooper, you're probably picturing a costume that Frank Romano drew or
Yeah.
designed. Frank worked directly with Ben Cooper in brainstorming sessions trying to capture the essence of the characters. Costumes still had to be recognizable without a mask because most of the time kids just wore them on their heads and they knew that going in, so they had to make sure that the
Uh,
smocks were designed in such a way that if they were trick or treating and their mask wasn't on their face anymore, that people would know who they were. In the late 80s, Frank Romano started gaining name recognition and eventually started doing meet and greets and autograph signings at Halloween and comic conventions. I included some photos of one of his most famous costumes, Darth Vader.
yeah, it's pretty cool. But yes, I can see that. Like, that's like the like, it's too hot to wear this mask. Put it on my head kind of situation.
Mhm.
So Ben was a pioneer in costume licensing, and the company really took off once it started getting license deals. The company became known for licensing popular film and television characters and getting their images onto store shelves quickly. These must be the 3 months rush jobs.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1960s and 70s, Ben Cooper Incorporated was one of the big three Halloween costume companies, along with Collegeville and the H. Halpern Company, or Halcom.
Their first big license was actually with the Walt Disney Company. Ben Cooper Inc. was only the second individual company to license Disney characters, and the licensing agreement was actually signed by Walt Disney. Their
Oh.
2 earliest designs were Mickey Mouse and Snow White. Disney was an ongoing staple for Ben Cooper the whole time they were in business. Mickey Mouse actually never left the line, though the design was updated over the years. Ben Cooper actually got a lot of other business and licenses specifically because they had the Disney license first. They were invited to licensing shows and conventions, and at these conventions, companies presented what was coming, not what was there. Like we said at the top, costumes took months to complete, so at these conventions, costume designers and toy manufacturers would all shop around licenses for movies and shows that weren't even out yet, and this changed the Halloween industry.
Yes. And if you are not driving, do yourself a favor and Google the Mickey Mouse Ben Cooper original because it is like perfect.
Is it creepy? I didn't even.
It's a
What's the
little
first one
creepy.
look like? Yeah. I mean, even Mickey Mouse was a little creepy. I keep thinking about, like, the walk around characters way back in the day, like how
Oh,
creepy
yeah. Big time
all of the
creeps.
Disney characters were. So if they made a creepy Halloween costume, they're probably like, this is perfect.
Yeah. We don't even have to work. We're just going to copy this. Well, here's a little bit about some of the most popular licenses from the mid-century. So in the 60s, Ben Cooper produced some of the earliest merchandising for superheroes, including Spider-Man and Green Lantern, anticipating the decade's superhero boom. Superman approached Mickey Mouse in volume, but not overall, since Mickey sold to a wider age range of kids than we see today for superheroes. In those days, Superman was strictly for boys ages 8 and up. If you were 7 and 9 months, you can't be Superman.
I don't think they meant can't be. I think they meant like 7-year-olds didn't buy Superman costumes.
They said strictly.
Sorry, kid, you can't be Superman. That's funny.
For boys ages 8 and up, Superman suits had warning labels in obvious lettering to try and keep kids from attempting to fly in the costumes. The warning said, quote, "Remember, this suit will not make you fly. Only Superman can fly." End quote.
Isn't that a cute way to do it?
It is a cute way to do it, but If that tag exists, that means that enough kids, tried to fly.
Yeah, I didn't include it, but apparently a kid jumped out a window and
Oh
died.
no.
And that's why they added that warning label. But that seemed like a bummer, so I didn't put it in the outline. But I do
So
talk
we
about
just
more
said it
murders
anyway.
later. There's more death than I wanted in this research.
We talked about death-ish in the candy episode, so
Yeah, we sure did. So
it's Halloween, it's October.
stay spooky. Anyway. But yeah, some kid jumped out a window, and that's why they added the warning label.
Oh. Well, Batman gave the ability to add a utility belt, which is something you could do. Cross over from one day Halloween costume to staying in the toy chest for everyday dress up, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Another really popular license in the mid-century were Universal Monsters. As we mentioned earlier, Ben Cooper actually started out with generic versions of these monsters before they got the official license. So once they got the Universal license, all the monster costumes had to be redesigned. One interesting design choice that you may or may not have noticed is that Frank Romano decided to give all these monsters red fingernails. Isn't that an interesting detail?
Why?
I don't know. He just thought it looked cool, I think.
I mean, it does make their fingers kind of stand out a little bit more at least in the smocks. Like I'm looking at one of Frankenstein's monster. Also, that's one expensive manicure. Anyway, Ben Cooper also created designs for famous figures of the time. So the Beatles costumes were incredibly popular and were worn by both children and teenagers. They also designed a JFK costume. JFK was beloved and the mask was so recognizable that it was slated to be a huge seller. But after JFK was assassinated, Ben Cooper knew that selling these costumes would be in bad taste, and their whole stock of JFK costumes was destroyed.
Getting a little bit out of this mid-century because there was a lot of really good stuff in the 70s, which we decided is mid-century adjacent. So,
Yeah.
Star Wars, we have to talk about it. This is one of the first merchandising deals struck for Star Wars before anyone could anticipate its wild success. The property was licensed and the costumes were designed before the movie came out. Ben Cooper and company were actually invited to the pre-opening screening. Darth Vader was the first movie villain that was really popular for the company. Frank Romano said that this was one of his favorite designs he ever made. 1977 for Ben Cooper was a whirlwind effort of 24-hour production. One of the employees interviewed in the documentary said that he worked so much overtime during the Star Wars frenzy that he was able to buy his first house.
Planet of the Apes was another popular costume series from the 1970s. They had to rush to production after the movie came out because people started calling them and asking them if they had Planet of the Apes costumes. So, to speed things up, instead of starting off with a different design for each character, they made one generic ape mask and put more characters on the smock design. Another one was the $6 Million Man. Similar to apes, they had no idea there would be demand for a costume until the show came out, and then they just had to figure it out. This was tricky to design because he's just a man, no costume or anything, so they designed a costume for him. They also had Fonzie from Happy Days, the Fonz. It's actually one of the most successful costumes that they ever made.
Also in the 70s, Ben Cooper started selling toys called jigglers. As lucrative as the Halloween industry had become, basically the entire business was building up to one big costume day a year. Ben Cooper wanted to be able to transcend the one day. He always wanted to make something that children would want year-round. So the answer was jigglers, which were PVC action figures that jiggle when you wiggle them around. They came on a string so you could hang them up, or you could take the string out and play with them.
Interesting. You know, I was very disappointed to find out that Mike Myers' mask was not Ben Cooper.
It wasn't?
No.
It was a president, right?
Nope. Try again.
Oh, no, it was,
Mid-century.
Yeah, no, shoot, hang on, I know, it was Star
know
Trek.
Who it is.
Yeah, I know, but why can't I remember his name? All of a sudden, something I knew, I don't know if I'm getting old, maybe this is me getting old. I cannot remember actors' names and anything ever again.
I will take that over back pain.
No, it's really embarrassing in public because I cannot remember any actors' names. I think my brain just decided it wasn't important, and now I just can't remember anybody's
William
name.
Shatner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut all of that out. Even if you asked me later in the day after more coffee, I still would not remember his name. And I couldn't remember Captain Kirk either. Until just now, obviously, it came to me eventually. But yeah, it was a William Shatner mask.
Yeah.
When did that movie come out? The late 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the using another company's mask in the late 70s is actually a great transition into the downfall of the company. So, as we know, Ben Cooper Inc. is not around anymore. So, the company suffered heavy financial losses in the early to mid 80s. One big contributor to the downfall of this company was when tragedy struck around Halloween in 1982. On September 29th, 1982, 7 people died after taking the painkiller Tylenol. Investigators discovered that someone had actually tampered with the product, lacing it with potassium cyanide. For some reason, this, totally unrelated to candy, renewed fears of poisoned Halloween candy given to trick-or-treaters. Terrified parents nationwide refused to allow their children to celebrate Halloween the following month. And some communities actually discouraged trick-or-treating for Halloween, and American grocery stores reported that candy sales were down more than 20%. Sales of
Whoa.
costumes plummeted and did not recover for several years. Ben Cooper Inc. formed the Halloween Celebration Committee along with 8 other manufacturers of Halloween costumes, masks, makeup, and accessories. Ben Cooper Inc. formed the Halloween Celebration Committee along with 8 other manufacturers of Halloween costumes, masks, makeup, and accessories, and published the booklet 13 Great Ways to Celebrate Halloween. This was in order to reassure parents and help stimulate interest in the holiday again.
Sales finally recovered by 1987, but it wasn't enough to make up for the 5 slow years. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on March 13th, 1988. Ben Cooper Inc. emerged from bankruptcy in April 1989 after paying all its creditors in full. They also still controlled 70 to 80% of the licensed costume business, and things were looking up. But shortly after recovering from bankruptcy, Ben Cooper Inc. announced that they were moving the company to Greensboro, North Carolina. Ooh, hey, Scream. They said that the reason for the move was to be closer to southern textile factories and cutting shops, so that it could move away from the vinyl costumes they had obtained from Asia and toward more sustainable fabrics. The company hoped to invest $6 million, which is over $14 million in today's money, in building its new Greensboro facility. Unfortunately, this move was too much too soon. On October 30th, 1991, Ben Cooper Inc. filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy yet again. The CEO said that the cost of the second bankruptcy was due to relocation expenses, the early 1990s recession, and delays in obtaining bank loans.
But although the Ben Cooper Company is gone, the legacy continues on. Products made by Ben Cooper Inc. remain highly collectible, particularly intact boxed costumes with the mask. Frank Romano's son said in the documentaries that the boxes were flimsy and the cellophane was even worse, and the fact that any are still intact is amazing. This is probably why they are so collectible today.
Hmm.
Another reason they're so highly collectible is that the boxes are just so dang cool. So each license had its own custom designed box. Ben Cooper started doing this because back in the 1940s and 50s, all product box sizes were standardized to fit on store display shelves. So the theme boxes not only helped Ben Cooper costumes stand out from the crowd, but it also paid some more respect to the characters and the licenses. We'll, of course, post some photos of the costumes and box artwork on Instagram, but there are just too many beautiful designs to feature them all. So if you want to take a look at some of the box artwork, there's a wonderful resource I found called Backface that will link in the show notes. The website features 111 box designs, all digitally recreated in high resolution. Each design page includes a 360 video and more details about each box. It's really awesome to look through, so highly recommend. Also, we're going to link to some fun articles ranking the 13 most popular Ben Cooper Halloween costumes designed by Frank Romano and the 13 grooviest Ben Cooper masks.
Do you know
That's
which
actually
one
what they
was?
named. We were just talking about that we should bring groovy back, and this article actually titled it that, probably because they were
Yeah.
talking about the 60s, but still.
Do you know which one was the most popular? Like the number one?
Spoiler alert, they decided that the number one Frank Romano design was Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is a great choice, honestly.
The grooviest one, though, is I was not expecting it. Because, spoiler alert again, they said that the grooviest one was the Village People mask. So, which I did not expect.
Anyway, here are some more ways you can capture the special Ben Cooper Halloween aesthetic today. So, I don't know if this is, so I'm not nerdy enough for this, but it's great that it exists. I don't know if it's pronounced NECA or NECA, but there is I guess, comic book superhero company that's doing Ben Cooper collabs. And One, they have some really great t-shirts featuring the Frank Romano artwork in case you want to just wear a t-shirt with the smock design on it, which I honestly need to buy the Creature from the Black Lagoon one. But they're also selling, and have been for several years, these Costume Kids action figures, which are 5.5-inch tall figures of children dressed in Ben Cooper Halloween costumes. And it sounds creepy, but they're beautiful. Like, they're really beautifully designed, and they would look great in any vintage Halloween collection. Also, Rubies, which is a Halloween costume company that owns the Ben Cooper costume rights right now, they recreated some of the Halloween costumes in adult sizes in 2021. They're not making them anymore, but some online retailers, if you Google hard, are still selling them. So if you missed your chance to be Darth Vader in the 70s, you can relive that today if you want to.
Nice.
It's so funny. They're just like smocks and masks again, but like the product photos are great because it's just like an adult. It looks like an adult wearing a children's costume, but like they had to make the smock and the mask bigger to fit, so it's just like your top half. It's really funny. Anyway. And I also have to shout out my favorite discontinued collection from my favorite fashion brand, Vixen by Micheline Pitt. Back in 2017, she did a licensed collab with Ben Cooper and designed some truly gorgeous pieces with art that looked like they jumped right off the costume boxes, and they sometimes pop up on Poshmark if you're lucky.
I love the idea that the boxes were part of the experience because what a fun and like inexpensive way for a kid to like decorate their room, because like you get the Halloween costume, it comes in a box, you cut the top of the box off, you put it up on your wall, and now you have like a poster of sorts.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So all about resourceful.
But anyway, now that we're caught up to the present, it's time to switch gears. For our October spooky episodes, instead of including an etiquette segment at the end of each episode, we like to recommend a bit of spooky media to get you into the holiday spirit. Gonzalo, what recommendation do you have for us today?
Okay, so I've got two things. And they're not in our outline, so Jackie doesn't know. So last 2 weeks ago, I talked about how I was watching the third season of American Horror Story. And I've since finished that season and started the fourth season, which is about freaks. Well, that's a wrong word to say. That's a freak show. Or so they call it. But anyway, it's set in the 1950s in Jupiter, Florida. So it's in the mid-century, and it's all about the carnival, like side attractions. And, you know, also scary, murdery things because it's American Horror Story. But I highly recommend watching it because not only is it set in the mid-century, but it's American Horror Story. It's great. It has Jessica Lange and Angela Bassett and Julia Roberts' niece, Emma Roberts. So it's worth watching. My second media recommendation is kind of inspired by the episode today, because if you've never seen The Strangers, like the original one, highly recommend. They're not Ben Cooper masks; they're just masks. But there's one of the. So if you've never seen the movie or heard of it, the whole premise is that three strangers torment Liv Tyler and her boyfriend while they're in their house. And when they come in, they're all wearing masks. One of them's wearing like a potato sack with like X's over the eyes, and another one's wearing this creepy doll, which is what reminds me of Ben Cooper costumes. But if you've never seen it, I highly recommend. Now the second one, not so good.
But is that out already? Oh, they're doing another one in theaters.
Are they really?
Yeah, I thought it was the sequel, but now I forgot that there actually already was a Strangers 2, so I guess this is Strangers 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just actually going to ask you, because I knew you love The Strangers, if you heard about the new one coming out.
No, I hadn't. What's it called? Strangers 3 Still Don't Know You?
I don't know, probably. They should have let you name it.
But yeah, those are my recommendations.
Those are great recommendations. Yeah, I love The Strangers. And that my main takeaway from The Strangers is you should always wear shoes, even when you think that you can relax, because you never know when you have to go run outside.
True.
So that's just good advice, I think.
See, my takeaway from that movie is don't pull the trigger until you see who's at the other end of the gun.
Yes. And that is actually the first rule that they teach you. Probably. But yeah, Liv Tyler spends a lot of time running in grass barefoot.
Also, I love the is it Merle Haggard who has this song?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can hear the intro riff in my head, but
Yeah, that's I bet if someone did like a ranking of like good record player loops in the background of horror movies,
oh,
someone
that's
should
got to be
compile that
top
list.
5
Yeah,
for
it's gotta
sure.
be. Yeah. My two off the top of my head are that and like 1408. But I don't think that was that a record? No, it was a clock radio.
Yeah.
Anyway, someone should make that list.
Yes. Maybe it should be us. But anyways, it looks like we finally purchased our costume for the year. Thank you all for listening today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the show and tell a friend.
You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at MCL Podcasts. Instagram is the best place to send us feedback and episode suggestions. Send us a DM anytime. You can also contact us through the Send Us a Text Message feature in the show notes.
Yeah, so send us some fan mail. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.